Spencer here from Romford Film Festival. I am joined by Ross Boyask, Creative Director of Evolutionary Films.
Thank you. So anyone who doesn't know what Evolutionary Films is, we are an international film sales agent and UK film distributor, meaning that we acquire films in various stages of production and development to be able to sell them internationally to different territories. And in the UK, we are an actual distributor, meaning we can do potentially theatrical distribution, VOD, and other forms of distribution depending on the movie.
Okay, so one of the questions that we're asked most often is about how a filmmaker goes from putting all their money into making a film to the next stage. And I just thought it'd be, as I've got you here with your film today, I thought it'd be a really good opportunity for maybe you to give young, aspiring superstar filmmakers some tips as to what they can do to make their film more appealing to distributors, etc.
Okay, that's great. So I suppose the first question that I would ask any filmmaker to ask themselves before embarking on making a film, a feature, and we're assuming here that it is, dare I say, to try and make some money, because in the end it's a commercial endeavour to do that, is who is my film for? And that may sound really obvious. It is extraordinary. It's extraordinary how many people do not do that. We will get contacted by people who've made films that are already complete, which is great, obviously. But I'm not sure that filmmakers understand that they can contact people like us before they make the movie. They can say, "Hi, we're this company and we're looking to make this kind of movie. Is that something you might be interested in?" Like, look at the market. It is a business proposition in the end, no matter how creative you are. And just as a side note, filmmakers who say, "I'm going to leave the business bit to someone else," stop making films. I'll be really straight down the line. Don't make a film for that you think is going to make money if you're going to do that, because we know plenty of people. The whole of Evolutionary Films come from production, so we're aware of the creative push. You want to be creative and artistic as well. But if you are trying to make a film that is for a market, you are a business person, and it doesn't matter what part of the production you're in, you're a business person. So get businessy. And people like us and other distributors and sales agents, it may take a while to get to us. We're all busy, but persevere, because in the end, if a film is being made or people are intending to make a film, people like us are interested and would be fairly happy to get involved if you're interested in us. So the first question, which I probably said a while ago, is who is your film for? That's the first thing. Is there an audience for this film? We all know that there's the exception that proves the rule. There's the occasional art house film or drama or whatever you want to say that will break out. That's absolutely true. But if you're setting out on a commercial endeavour, investigate the market. It's very straightforward in that respect. And then at least you can make a decision. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, when it comes to the market, and without sounding too mechanical, there are genres. There's action and thriller and horror and drama and comedy. Don't do drama and comedy. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. If you're setting out to make a film. The first thing that any film buyer will ask you if they sit down with you at a film market is, who's in your movie? When you can't say a famous person, they'll say what kind of film it is. I hope this isn't sounding condescending. This is just the truth. It's the simple truth.
It is the good guidance, and it's the good guidance that a filmmaker needs.
Yeah, that's not saying don't make one, but just be aware that, we have on many occasions had film buyers who haven't, this is in our early years if you like, who would sit down with us and say, "Hi, no drama, no comedy, what have you got?" And you kind of go, "Okay," so it's a serious part of the business. So pick a genre. Let's not get too tied down in that, but really think about genre, really think about what's in the market, look at what films are being made already, look at what films are out there. That will give you some information as to where you should be going.
Okay. And so we've discussed the genres. Now, moving on from that, Can you give the viewers a little bit of guidance about the kind of paperwork they should be holding on to? Because I'm talking to a lot of people
Yes.
that somehow fall down on the paperwork, and that has created big problems for them later.
Completely understandable. It's a very common issue that we face all the time, understandably. Particularly with new filmmakers, it's anything that people don't know has to be completed. It's completely understandable. You're entering into a world of every territory wants something different. There are lots of similarities throughout, but there's a lot of differences depending on the territory. There are some really standard, obvious things. Don't let someone act in your film until they've signed a release form. Don't let a member of crew work on your film until they've signed a release form. I've heard innumerable stories of productions going awry when, just because, I don't know, a key member of crew didn't sign a form, the people just said, well, okay, well, let's make the film. And then that person says, well, you can't put my name on it, and I'm going to injunct your film and things like that. Please get one of your release forms signed. Insurance is a really important thing as well. Let's be honest, there are many, many forms and templates and certificates of origins and all sorts of things you can go through. It's pretty easy to research these things online. We could sit here for an hour and a half.
Yep,
I go through them all. But again, before you're setting out to make the film, it's not difficult to make yourself aware of, if I could call it this, the deliverables list. A fairly standard deliverables list of technical elements. Paperwork is vital, as you've said. Things like your music composer's licenses, things like that. Making sure everything is cleared. If you're using stock footage or imagery, make sure it's cleared. There's a plethora of things. Let's be clear about this point. Like you're saying, what paperwork? There's a plethora. Before you set out there, I mean, there's plenty of resources out there online anyway, but don't be afraid to contact a distributor or a sales agent to ask about this. We're pretty open about this sort of thing. There's no mystique to it. But yes, you should absolutely make yourself aware of the requirements of delivering a film. Again, if it's a commercial endeavour.
Do you think how do you think is the best way for a filmmaker to research the type of distributor that they are looking at? Because that's quite important as well, isn't it?
That's true. I think, particularly in today's market, take this with a pinch of salt, there aren't that many distributors in each territory. I mean, there can be a dozen, there can be sometimes a little bit more, usually a bit less. In terms of, if you literally Google film distributors Malaysia,
yep,
you can find them. They're not hiding. So the fairly straightforward thing to say here is do your Google research without being too brand specific. There are other search engines available. Look at the distributors, see what they're releasing. Again, this is absolutely part of your market research. Have a look at them. Now, by the time you've made your film, things change. Things are cyclical. Companies do move on sometimes from certain genres. I'll give you a really specific example. There are specific documentary distributors in most territories. If you're making a documentary, make yourself aware and contact them. Or at least contact a sales agent that sells the documentaries, which we do, by the way, so stay in touch. So yes, but if you look at what you're making, if you have a knowledge of the content that you are creating, you're creating content, right? And just be aware. Look out there. Google films like your video. Say, I don't know, if you're doing a horror films 2021. Go on IMDb. Look at the distributors are there. It's not terribly difficult to find this out. I would normally say, and I know we're a sales agent, so it may sound loaded, I would say speak to a sales agent, because in the end, sales agents have the relationship with the buyers. If you call a distributor in Malaysia, as I used that example, they're probably just going to ignore you, probably. But the point is, you can research who's out there. That's kind of what I'm getting to.
Okay. Because we one of those conversations that we have a lot, and I think sometimes it's quite important that we don't, hit too high in terms of the people that you're knocking on the doors.
Yes, I mean, Warner Brothers are unlikely to take the call, let's be honest. But I guess this is what I'm getting at. Look at, without being too specific here, you can go low budget drama, you can do this. It's not difficult. It's taking a bit of the brain power. Again, understanding that there is a business end to this, and talking to them about it. Just talk to them.
And one last question for you. What do you think is the best way to get a distributor's attention if you're finding it hard to get through? Have you come across any really interesting ways that people have?
I mean, look, I suppose that's a bit of a nebulous question in that what will it take to get someone's attention? But you have a toolkit. When you're making a film, there's a toolkit. First of all, whatever you do, get really good stills of your film. This is essential. I'm not talking about behind the scenes. No one really cares about behind the scenes stills. We all love looking at them. But as a toolkit to promote your film, you want stills of all of your high quality stills of all of your main characters, all of your locations, the action where possible. Get stills, because hundreds of stills. People don't want to hear this because it can cost money, but it's super important in promoting your film, whether you're creating artwork and so forth. So your toolkit, stills, artwork, really good artwork. And again, it's about finding the right person to do that. There are people out there who create really exciting artwork for your projects. And the trailer. If you have those tools, if you create those tools and create them from a commercial perspective, chances are people in the business will at least look. A lot of the time, so to explain my role a little bit at Evolutionary Films, I'm creative director, and what that primarily entails is acquisitions. So whoever an outside person contacts, it comes to me to assess as a potential project to acquire, whether it's for sales, whether it's for distribution, or both. And the first thing I say, when I say, do you want to watch a film, my first thing is, can I please look at your key artwork and your trailer? That's the first thing, because it takes time. I want to watch every film. I love films, so I want to watch every film. But if your sales tools aren't there, it can be very difficult to attract, because we know, therefore, we're going to have to create them. I know how that sounds. It's vital. There are some buyers who will look at artwork and trailer and probably make an offer on a film if it hits their demographics, if you like. Then they'll watch the film. So you need strong sales tools. And again, this is partly business, partly creative. So if you want to attract the attention of a sales agent or a distributor, really good artwork, and as an impactful artwork that looks like a film poster, because there are people who think they're being clever, and it's not clever. Make it look like a film poster, and a trailer that is a succinct, clear trailer as to what your film is. That's primarily what you need. And people script all the time on stills. It's essential.
Well, there you go.
I hope that was helpful.
Thank you ever so much, Russ. I know your time's quite valuable. We really appreciate what you've done here, and we really appreciate you bringing your film to Romford.
It's a pleasure, and thank you so much for having us. I hope I wasn't too blunt, but we're blunt. Because in the end, when you get down to the business bit, it really is business, and it really is time, and like you say, and time is valuable. And we love to assess movies that come in. We're very, as a sales agent and distributor, telling you all out there, we're looking for product, but it has to be product that can be commercial. It's just reality.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.